Hi there. You're joining us in Will's bar with the spoils from our day's foraging sitting in front of us. We thought we'd take the opportunity just to talk you through each of the ingredients. Sitting behind, we've got some of the processing that we've done in advance of today to show you some potential ways in which you can turn these ingredients into drinks ingredients, and also talk about some potential other ways in which you could use it in your bar. So first and foremost, I might hand over to Luke. You can talk a little bit about the Warrigal greens here.
Well, as we were just talking about before, we're in Coogee at the moment. We've foraged these from the local coastal environment. Everything's literally come from about 500 metres from where we're standing right now. So we know that we're going to get ingredients that are fresh, that have been looked after by nature, and that are going to be delicious in drinks too. To start with, we've got the Warrigal greens. This was one of the first ones we picked up this morning as well. I think you'd asked earlier about them flowering. We can actually see some of the flowers that are starting to bloom on the Warrigal greens here too. So yes, they do flower. We do now know. It does have that beautiful spear sort of shaped leaf to it as well, as we've talked about previously. Really high sort of concentrated herbaceous green notes to it as well. In terms of usage, it does taste very much like a spinach, so you need to be pretty creative about how you might apply this to a drink or putting it into a drink. Something we've done previously is a bit of a lacto ferment. We use some of the juices and the extracts from the leaves as quite a nice sort of herbaceous, savoury seasoning to a cocktail as well. But lots of different options in terms of how you might use this too.
Awesome, thank you. So the next one you can see sitting here in front of you is the Eastern Pig's Face. As we mentioned, this comes from a family of different varietals which can be found all around Australia. As Luke mentioned before or earlier today, this specific varietal, due to the time of year, is still quite astringent. Moving into the warmer months, we'll get a bit of that sweetness come through. So one of the ways in which we processed this, the pig's face here, was to make a pickle. And if you want to give that a taste, that pickling process has helped to leach out some of the astringency, and the vinegar has really played a nice balance. And that's as simple as taking a sweet pickle recipe and just letting that rest for a week in room temperature before it goes into the fridge. Simple as that.
Really delicious. A lot of fruity, nice characteristics to it as well. It'll work really well in like a martini or something like that. Even like a garnish for a Bloody Mary, I think would look awesome. Look great. Yeah. The flowers as well. Like all flowers, they do have a shorter sort of shelf life. One of the things we've done previously with the pig's face flowers is actually pick all the petals off, do a really light coat of like a sugar syrup on them, onto some baking paper, and then into a dehydrator. You end up with these beautiful crystallized little flowers that you can either turn into a powder and sprinkle on top of a cocktail for a nice sort of flourish. Otherwise, keep them whole and use them as a little bit more of a structural sort of garnish on top of a drink as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that kind of magenta almost colour is pretty sensational, isn't it?
And it's got a nice shimmeriness to it as well that is reflective and looks great on top of a drink.
So
Roast geranium.
Yeah, I'll leave it over to you.
Well, one of my favourite ingredients. I tried to call it the flavour of 2019. I think it's making some traction, but maybe 2020 will be the year that we really see it rise up and take the position that it deserves. Once again, beautiful frilly leaves. It's got a little bit of a pinkish or a purplish hue around the edges of the leaves as well. Really beautifully aromatic. I mean, it is very much reminiscent of something you might find in some perfumery or some lotions and hand creams and things like that. It is not a gender-biased aroma or garnish or flavour. I think that it's something that everyone can enjoy as well, even though it does, maybe have a little bit of a preconceived ideas as to how it might be used. Beautiful flavours to it. Has that nice rosiness, but also quite a fresh green, almost minty sort of characteristic you get from it as well. And in a drink, it just makes everything taste, beautiful, light, aromatic, and a little bit citrusy as well. Great.
Next ingredient that we picked up, which was just next to the Warrigal greens, is the nasturtium. So this is an ingredient that is found sort of all over the world. It's definitely something that is probably quite commonplace in a lot of people's wild grown spaces. As you can see, we're starting to get some amazing flowers come through. We picked and saw earlier some of these beautiful orange colours, and also found this really stunning yellow as well. And the flavours that come through this is really, I guess, has a kind of menthol, almost, what's the word I'm looking for, like mustard or horseradish kind of flavours coming through. And traditionally used in garnishes. In the past, we have made distillates, and this here is just a maceration by finely chopping the leaves and then steeping them in a neutral grain spirit for about 2 weeks, which has brought out some like super interesting kind of notes in there.
Yeah, it has a really beautiful earthiness to it, and there's that sort of back palate or back aroma of that nice pepper as well that you get from a horseradish or a wasabi or something in that family of ingredients. Beautiful as a garnish as well. The flowers themselves have multiple petals on there. I think it's really smart way and a conservative way to use petals and flowers as garnishes. Just by using a few petals, we don't need to make a floral arrangement on top of a cocktail. I think less is more, and you can't really improve on the beauty that nature's created as well. So I think that you can be a little bit more thoughtful about how you use them if you're using them in more of a conservative way as well.
Amazing. The last two ingredients here, these were the two elements that were the most adventurous of our morning's activities. Nothing like a bit of danger to add to that flavour, right? So we have the sea lettuce, which is just sitting in front of you here. I think, as Luke has said, it's definitely not the most visually stunning kind of ingredient. I guess when you compare to some of these other wonderful elements, it almost has like a translucent kind of element to it. But this product just behind you here is what we have done to process this. So as simple as taking this product here, steeping it in boiling salted water for 5 minutes, then laying it out in flat sheets just on some baking paper, and then sprinkling some sesame seeds over the top and letting that dehydrate for about 6 hours on a super low heat. And that's given us what we call a sort of a faux nori, and that will be a nice little garnish for one of our drinks we're going to make today, and give you like a nice textural and kind of sea coastal saline kind of flavour, just kind of cool.
Beautiful.
And then the last piece here that we picked up on the way back, some leather kelp here. So this is an ingredient that is strewn across the beaches. It's extremely commonplace. Is actually finding its way into gardens these days to use as a fertilizer. But we also took some of this and by allowing it to dry in the sun, as you can see, this is starting to change its kind of texture, and then steeping it just in a spirit for about 2 weeks. We have this really kind of potent extract, which has like a lot of kind of flavour, which is going to work well into one of the drinks that's going to work with the sea lettuce.
It almost has a chocolatey sort of characteristic to it as well, but it definitely has that nice sort of marine-y seaside aroma to it as well. Really excited to see that in the drink.
Super cool. So that's all of our ingredients. We're now going to break off into looking at a couple of drinks we've put together today, but not to trump Luke's request for rose geranium to be the flavour of 2020. I'm going to call it now. I think the pig's face pickleback is probably going to be the flavour sensation that rocks the nation. So I'll give you one of those, Luke.
Thank you.
Feel free to give it a go.
You have a little one on top as well?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I'll put it just on the top there.
Now, it's been a long time, so where do we start?
I think, so the simplest way, take a sip of the whiskey. We've got Jim Beam Black here, and then afterwards we're going to take a sip of the pickle, and then bite into the pickle pig's face. Cheers.
Cheers.
Amazing.
Wow.
We can just probably finish now, right?
I feel like we can tap out on that one.
Excellent.
That's a high point.